Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Plymouth United Church. Happy 4th of July weekend. I hope that you have some wonderful weekend plans and have some time to enjoy yourself. It is good to have you with us today on this first Sunday of the month, where we start a new theme, Unity in Diversity. Unity and diversity is also the theme that the council has chosen for the year for Plymouth United Church. It's something that we think is super important to our ministry and to ourselves personally. And on this 4th of July weekend, I think about these United States and our mottos, the things that we say about our country that we hold to be important, out of many one, and liberty and justice for all, and all those beautiful things that are founding beliefs and understandings of what this country is supposed to be about. And also are falling short of all of those ideals. Many, many times in the United States, we have fallen short and really made a mess of a lot of things, subjugating people and colonizing and doing terrible things like that, which is the exact opposite of out of many come one, and liberty and justice for all, and all those important things. So unity and diversity holds a special place in our country's ideals as well as in our Christian ideals. So I hope that today we can reimagine this country that we live in and know that while many mistakes have certainly been made, and the systems that a lot of our country are founded on, that we work through because that's what we've inherited, that we can turn those around, that we can be one out of many, that we can have that unity in diversity. And I hope that that is your mission, your work, and your prayer, not only for the church, for the Christian church, but also for this country that we live in. So with that, I invite you to join me in a moment of centering as we bring ourselves fully to this time and to this place. We walk through this world with all the aspects of our being, our bodies, our minds, our hearts, and our spirits. We don't just have these aspects when we're by ourselves in a moment of meditation, but this is how we move through the world with the fullness of who we are. So think about how you have walked through the world this week with your body, and the choices that you've made with your body, or maybe the instincts that your body has responded to. This week, were there any times when you thought to yourself, I wish my body hadn't done that. I wish my body hadn't responded to that moment in that particular way? Or have you been really pleased with the way your body was able to interact with other people? Communicating with our physical selves is a huge part of how we understand each other. Our bodies are integral to the way that we approach situations. Our bodies are sacred and holy, and the way that they meet, the way that we respond to each other in the grocery store, in the street, even when we're driving in our cars, says a lot. So breathe into this body that does good work in communicating, and also might need some guidance. Just like our mind sometimes needs some guidance, but also does some good work. How has your mind, your thinking, integrated in this world as you have walked through it this week? In what way have you said to yourself, that was a good thought, I'm really glad that occurred to me, as you encountered someone? What thoughts have you had that you thought, why did I think that? I'd like to figure out where that came from, where that assumption came from, where that mindset came from. Because it's not the core value I hold, it's some kind of a reactive nature that I really want to consider. And breathe into your thinking of this past week, considering all those moments. Appreciate yourself for the sacred and holy person that you are, and how you're doing your best in this world. As you consider your emotional self, how have you interacted emotionally with others this past week? And in what ways can you say, drat, I missed that one. Emotionally, I wasn't as centered as I wished I had been, because I would have. And as you name that to yourself, also name the times where you interacted emotionally with someone and really rather liked it. Felt like that was the response emotionally that you were pleased to give in that moment. And breathe into your emotional self. Love your emotional self. Know that you are doing the best that you can, and that we can always continue to do better. We can make minute adjustments every day in how we respond with our emotions, with our thoughts, with our bodies, and with our spirits. How have you interacted spiritually with someone or regarding someone? In what ways have you said, my spirit was in a really weird place when that happened? In what ways can you say, my spirit was really meeting that person, and I'm grateful for that moment? And breathe in to your spirit, knowing that you are doing the best you can and that you can do better. You can always shift incrementally, bit by bit, growing and expanding to your core values, being your best self in your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength. Now breathe into this very moment as we bring ourselves fully to create this sacred time together, fully in all the aspects of who we are.
Please join me in our responsive call to worship. A generation goes and a generation comes.
But the earth remains forever.
The sun rises and the sun goes down.
The sun is faithful to return in the morning.
The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north.
The wind is faithful to make its circuits around the earth.
All streams run into the sea, yet the sea is not full.
The streams are faithful to continue to flow.
Sometimes it feels like everything is pointless.
Sometimes we understand the rhythm of life.
We come together to search for meaning.
We come together as people of faith.
Time with the children!
Hey kids, what's going on? Come on, gather up close. It is so good to be with you today. We are talking about this idea called unity in diversity. Do you know what unity is? Oh, right, I can't hear you. Well, say it out loud anyway. Do you know what unity is? Do you know how unity is kind of like what brings us together? Unity is the way that we can be family together or friends together. Unity is the way that you take milk and chocolate syrup and stir it all together and it becomes chocolate milk. That's kind of like unity. Diversity. What is diversity? Diversity is, so I'd be listening to you right now. Go ahead. I'm waiting. What is diversity? So diversity is the milk and the chocolate syrup. And sometimes we don't want the milk and the chocolate syrup all mixed up together, do we? Sometimes we want a little of this and then a little of that and then a little of this. Diversity has to do with lots of differences, and there's all kinds of differences in the world, all kinds of differences within us. Like, let's say, for instance, somebody might really like to eat potatoes, but they don't want them mashed, they want them baked. Or maybe they don't like French fries. I know, you're all laughing at me. Who doesn't like French fries? Maybe somebody doesn't like French fries, and that's diverse too, right? So we can accept them. We can be unified with someone who doesn't like French fries. I haven't met them, but I'm sure that they're there. So unity in diversity means that no matter what our differences are, we can come together and we can be friends. We can like each other. We can have community together. We can have differences of the way we approach things, differences of opinion, and still be one church, still be in one classroom, still be one state, still be one country. Unity in diversity is fantastic. And I think that we need to work on that more all the time so that we can love each other better and give each other the benefit of the doubt and try to figure out what makes each other happy. Because that's something that's really cool. When I can figure out what makes somebody happy and I can do that for them, that makes me happy. Would you join your hearts with prayer, in prayer with mine? Holy Love, thanks for making us so different. Thanks for reminding us that we might like different things, and that doesn't mean that if you like something different than me, that what I like is wrong. It just means that we like different things. Help us to be open-hearted and open-minded about these differences, and to remember that we are all your children. We are all part of the same human family, and we get to love each other and learn about each other and grow and be fabulous. We love you, God, and we know that you love all of us in all of our crazy and wonderful ways. And all God's children said, Amen.
Floating and flaming and filling new life, hovering and healing and helping with sighs. Spirit at work since the dawning of time. Meet us right here, touch us right now. Meet us right here, touch us right now. Searching and saving and soothing indeed, teaching and turning and taking the lead, fathering, mothering, birthing new ways. Teach us right here, touch us right now. Teach us right here, touch us right now. Calling and caring and changing each heart, loving and lifting us to a new start. Jesus, our brother, our teacher, our friend, meet us right here, touch us right now. Meet us right here, touch us right now.
Before I begin our prayer, I just want to mention that I am preparing to go on vacation for a couple of weeks. I'm going to go and be in the Midwest. I'm going to spend some time with my family. My youngest niece is having her party for graduating from high school, which is awfully cool. It's going to be a great party. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go to Goshen, Indiana, and visit with Marcia and spend some time with her in her house. And I'm also going to visit some other friends while I'm in the area. I'm also going to go to the celebration of life for my friend Lynn, who died from COVID last year. So lift up some prayers for that gathering as well. I thank you for the opportunity to take these 2 weeks off. We have a great 2 Sundays coming up for you. Reverend Lori Keaton is going to be leading the worship service and bringing the message next Sunday. And then the following Sunday, our moderator, Jeff Meckler, is going to be bringing the message and leading the service. So don't stay away. Come and be a part of those services. They're going to be wonderful. Your soul is going to be blessed. And I don't say blessed because it's a religious term and I happen to be in church. I really do believe you're going to be blessed, uplifted. You're going to have a sense of goodness from what they are sharing. So please make sure that you tune in and know that I care for you deeply and will continue to pray for you. And then I'll be back 3 Sundays from now, and we will continue having church together. Now will you join your hearts in prayer with mine? Holy love, we thank you that you have created us to be a diverse group of people, and that you have called us to be in community together, to be in unison, to be unified, but also to be in harmony, so that each of us has our own distinct voice. And we each add a layer to this community that wouldn't be there if it wasn't for each and every person that was a part of this beautiful Plymouth faith community. Bless this community while I'm away. Help them to feel the strength of each other. Help them to remember your love that works between and among all of us. And lead us on this path toward our best self. Remind us of the direction that you want us to grow individually and as a church. And help us to not be afraid to follow that path. Help us also not to be afraid to show each other the ways that you are helping us grow into becoming. And because we are doing this ministry together, because it is all about the community that we share, let us lift up our voices in this song of prayer.
Our Father, our Mother, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial, and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever.
Good morning, everyone. It's Communion Sunday. If you haven't already, now is a good time to gather your sacred elements of food and drink, typically bread and either juice or wine. With these morsels, we feast in the Spirit and bring our community together around this ancient ritual of remembrance. Before you know it, we'll be back in church worshiping in person as well as live streaming for the folks who watch from home. We are making good progress on our construction projects and can't wait for you to see all the improvements, starting with the parking lot, which was renovated at the beginning of the pandemic using the funds from IWP. While it might feel like a brand new place, we also expect you to get that feeling that you are coming home. Using Facebook Live on Saturday, July 17th at 9 a.m., the Plymouth Council officers are presenting a special State of the Church. Please join us as they talk about where we are on our construction process and our strategy for opening our in-person service and all our other activities. They will also give you a tour of the church to show you how things are looking now. Please join us and feel free to ask questions in the chat during the live Q&A. During July, the book study group is taking a break from meeting. We will resume our book on play in August. Please join us then. We hope that you've been enjoying Zoom Fellowship, a time for visiting and chatting with friends on Sunday mornings at 10 before the service begins. You can find the link for this Zoom group on Thursday's Thoughts, on Facebook, and on the Plymouth app. Speaking of the new Plymouth app, please go to your app store on your phone or tablet and search Plymouth United UCC. You will recognize our app because of our logo. It is still a work in progress, but the basics are there. Through the app, you will be able to find all of our events, our services, and other information. We are interested in your feedback and the way you imagine the app to be helpful as a ministry of the church. It is always the place where you can centralize your giving to Plymouth. Once we have the app fully operational, we will begin to phase out Thursday's Thoughts. Our hope is that we will have a more robust way to engage with each other and to share what's going on at Plymouth. We have received approval for a grant so that we can install cameras and lighting for live streaming the service once we're back in person. We don't want anyone missing out on their Sunday morning Plymouth fix, no matter who you are, where you live, or how you were able to be in public spaces. We know many people have been coming to our online services that we've never met. We can't wait to open the church to be able to meet you in person. If you're considering joining Plymouth, please contact Pastor Mack at pastor@plymouthunited.org.
Did you know that Plymouth has a new app? Downloading is easy. You can simply scan the barcodes you see on your screen, or you can go to the Apple or Google Play Store and search Plymouth United UCC. You can easily find us by our logo. Inside the app, you will find useful information to keep you updated with all things Plymouth, such as service information, our identity statement in 4 voices, upcoming events, membership information, resources, giving, and much more. You can binge watch all our past services this year, or catch up if you missed a Sunday. You can also enjoy the sounds of music with Marsh, where Marshall delights us with weekly Tuesday night concerts. And don't miss out on the new What's Pastor Mac Watching section that will be updated routinely with videos that catches his eye. You might just find some surprises there along the way too. Giving is super simple through the app. Just click the Give link and you will be taken directly into PushPay, where you can give a one-time gift or set up a recurring gift weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or on the 1st and 15th of every month. You can send gifts to the General Fund, the Weekly Missions and Outreach Loose Offering, or the Systems Upgrade Campaign. To help offset the 2.2% processing cost to Plymouth, you can choose to include those in your gift by checking that box. Super simple. As we grow the app, we will be adding new features that help us stay connected as a community. So what are you waiting for? Download the Plymouth app today and get started connecting.
Each week we collect 2 offerings. One is for the church, which goes into our general fund for the running of the church and our ministries. The second is the loose offering, which is sent to a designated charity, which changes each week. Our loose offering for today will go to Texas Freedom Network Education Fund, which supports research and civic education efforts that promote religious freedom, individual liberties, and public education. The program also trains emerging grassroots leaders and activists on university and college campuses across the state. The organization engages in projects that help mainstream clergy and other Texans formulate and advocate a faith-based response to the religious rights policy agenda. If you would like to give to our general fund, to the loose offering, to the systems upgrade campaign, or all of them, you can use bill pay from your bank, send us a check, or use PushPay, according to the directions on your screen. As always, thank you for supporting Plymouth and the ministries of the loose offering.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow.
Please join me in our responsive offertory prayer. Every generous act of giving comes from love.
We are doers of our faith and not merely hearers.
This is a religion that is pure and undefiled before God.
It is to care for orphans and widows in their distress.
Jesus taught, healed, and fed the crowds.
He blessed their bodies and their spirits.
Together, we seek to do the same.
O God, bless these gifts to make a difference to people in need. Amen. Our biblical witness this morning is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, 54 through 58. It says this: Jesus came to his hometown and began to teach the people in their synagogue, so that they were astounded and said, "Where did this man get this wisdom and these deeds of power? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? Are not his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? Are not all his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all this?" And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, "Prophets are not without honor, except in their own country and in their own house." And he did not do many deeds of power there because of their unbelief.
Our contemporary witness this morning is called Never Give Up by Anthony Robinson from the UCC Daily Devotional. Look to the rock from which you were hewn, and to the quarry from which you were dug. Isaiah 51, 1b. The old coach had been invited to give the high school commencement speech. He approached the podium, looked out on the graduates, and said slowly, "Never give up." He paused and cast his eyes over the student once more, and then said, a second time, "Never give up." Another pause, another look, and for a third time, "Never give up." Then he turned and walked back to his seat. Our times are such that we may be tempted to give up. To give up on a nation so deeply polarized and divided. To give up on a democracy so vulnerable to manipulation of fear and by falsehood. To give up on the hope of being and building a beloved community when bruised by acts and words of cruelty and callousness. Isaiah's words in today's reading are a kind of never give up. The people to whom the prophet spoke had plenty of reason for discouragement, for giving up. They dwelt in exile in a foreign land, strangers in a strange land. Their beloved homeland was now a wasteland. But the word of God came, "Never give up. Look to the rock from which you were hewn. Remember who you are. Look to Abraham, your father, and Sarah, who bore you. He was but one when I called him, but I made him many. Never give up." However discouraging the present moment, do not give up on people. Do not give up on the church. And never give up on yourself. God isn't finished with you yet. For the Lord will comfort Zion. God will comfort all her waste places and make her wilderness like Eden. Never give up. Joy and gladness will be found in her, thanksgiving and a voice of song. God never gives up.
One of my main ideals is unity in diversity. It's a cornerstone of my beliefs, a core value. In a way, it seems like a utopian dream. In it, everyone gets to be their fullest and best self, rich in the colors of their soul, expressing their gifts and talents, learning to their full capacity the skills that enrich them and their community. Everyone not only gets along, but they also celebrate each other. It sounds like a perfect world. I want to live in a world where we have similarities and differences. Our similarities help us to bond, and our differences help us to expand and to grow. If only it were that easy. The truth is that difference is often felt as a threat rather than as an opportunity. The story of Jesus that we read from the gospel called Matthew reminds us of this. By this time in the telling, Jesus had been out and about doing lots of things. He was gathering quite a reputation and a following. In the previous chapter, we're told that his mother and brothers found out where he was and came to him because they wanted to talk to him. Probably they wanted to talk some sense into him because they were worried. But he didn't stop what he was doing. He had a mission, and he wasn't going to be dissuaded. I wonder if maybe he had second thoughts about how he treated them and decided he would make amends. So he came to his hometown for a visit. While at home, he began doing what he had been doing everywhere. He began teaching. He went to his home synagogue. When he started teaching, people became incredulous. They were offended that he was acting outside the bounds of their expectations. Who did he think he was? His father was a carpenter. They indicted him of thinking of himself as wise and powerful beyond his station. They reminded him that they knew his mother and siblings. They knew his roots. Jesus walks away without the ability to do much for them because they just wouldn't receive who he was. They wanted him to be who they expected him to be. Some people are just not going to get you. They won't understand who you are or where you're coming from. They won't even want to understand. They have your box ready for you, and if you step out of it, then you're just plain wrong. Whatever gifts or skills you have can't be seen or experienced by them. That's painful, isn't it? We want to be seen. We want to be heard, to be understood. That's reasonable. While this is true that it happens to us, it's also true that it happens from us. We have expectations of who people should be, how they should act. It's hard to open up, to be still for, and to experience the truth of a person's becoming. We can train ourselves to get better at it. It's worth the time and the energy it takes because our world becomes so much brighter and better when we do. The sad thing is that many people don't. That's disappointing and painful. It may even feel like what we're doing is a waste of time. If nothing is ever going to change, why do we bother? I'll tell you why I bother. Because God has given me a vision. One where there is a future and our hope is not cut off. One where people come together in all of their glorious diversity, which synergizes to create the kingdom of holy love. We have been working on this for decades, for centuries, for millennia. Rather than saying, well, we may as well stop because it hasn't happened yet, I'd rather say, we have been working on this so hard for so long, I'm sure as heck not going to stop now. That brings us to what Tony Robinson talked about in his UCC Daily Devotional article. Never give up. Don't give up on your ideals of inclusivity, acceptance, and celebration of all peoples and all creation. Don't give up on your core values of love, which draws us together. Don't give up on the institutions that are meant to organize us toward the realization of these utopian dreams. Even if individual institutions let us down, continue to set your gaze on the bigger picture. When he was in his hometown, Jesus had to make a decision. Would he stay there and try to convince them that he had something to offer? Or would he walk away and use his energy for good somewhere that they would receive him? He walked away. He could tell that they weren't going to be convinced. I'm sure it was disappointing that he had grief over what was happening. But he knew he had more in him than they were willing to receive. Sometimes we have to make choices like that. Not giving up can mean moving on. Moving on for the purpose of continuing. Being able to pivot and to absorb new information and alter course is crucial to not giving up. We have high ideals, and we should. They are not too high. It just takes a long time to climb something high. It takes a while to walk a great distance. Rest when you get fatigued. That is not giving up. Enjoy life to the max. That's not giving up. That's embracing joy. That's how we gain strength to continue, to dream, to connect, to build community. We can do this work better and be sustained longer when we are in community. Embrace your ideals. Seek after the diversity that expands you. When diversity and difference challenges you and doesn't go as smoothly as you hoped it would, know that you are in a real moment. Give yourself a beat to be still. Not only to others, but to your own heart. Unity in diversity comes because we continue to lean into what bonds us together while we celebrate what makes us different. In this way, we can create the most beautiful community beyond what we can imagine or think. And this brings us to our communion moment. One of the things that Jesus was all about was building community. And that's what we're about here at Plymouth as well. We say whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. You are welcome to come to be a part of our worship service. And you are welcome at this communion table. If you hunger and thirst spiritually, we want you to know that you are welcome to be a part of this meal. We are not driven by dogma. We're not driven by rules that set people apart. Neither was Jesus. Around that table with him were a bunch of folks that we think that he called friends, who had different opinions and who fought with Jesus about what they should do and how they should do it. And yet, in the middle of that moment, when Jesus knew that there was going to be a need for them to not give up, he wanted all of them to not give up. He didn't just want the people that he felt the closest to. He wanted all of them to stay in community together, to continue the work, and to be able to stay strong. And so in the middle of this meal, in the middle of this celebration, he picked up the bread that was on the table, and he gave thanks for it. And he blessed it, and he broke it, and he said, This is my body. This is the sustenance that I'm going to give to you. This is a part of me, and I want you to take a part of me with you so that you can be sustained. And I request that every time that you eat this, you remember me. Remember me. Why? So that they could be sustained, so that they could take in his energy, so they could take in his strength, so that they could remember who they were together. And so they took the bread, each of them, and they ate it, and they remembered Jesus. And so do we today. I invite you to take and eat in remembrance of Christ. Later on in the meal, Jesus picked up the cup and he gave thanks for it and he blessed it. And he said to them, "Take and drink this, all of you. This is the cup of my very life force. This is the cup of what flows through me, and I want what flows through me to flow through each of you, and I want it to connect you. So every time you take and drink this, do so in remembrance of me." And so they passed it around the table, and they each drank from it, so that they could receive strength, so that they could have the life force of Christ flowing through them, flowing between them, and flowing among them. And for that purpose today, for the purpose of creating community, I invite you to take and drink in remembrance of Christ. Would you join your hearts with mine in a moment of thanksgiving? Holy love, we thank you for the calling to create community together. And we thank you for this ritual that helps us to embody this call, not just in a theoretical way, but to literally use our bodies to remind ourselves whose teaching we are looking toward, and how it is that we are trying to create community together. Help this small symbol of a meal be a banquet in our spirit, and give us strength for the journey as we connect and reconnect one with another through the ups and downs of life, through all of our similarities, and amidst all of our differences. Help us to expand and to grow, to become stronger, because we're just better when we're together. Amen.
Called as partners in Christ's service, called to ministries of grace, we respond with deep commitment, fresh new lines of faith to trace. May we learn the art of sharing, side by side and friend with friend, equal partners in our caring to fulfill God's chosen end. Christ's example, Christ inspiring, Christ's clear call to work and word. Let us follow, never faltering, reconciling folk on earth. Men and women, rich or poor, all God's people, young and old, lending human skills together, gracious gifts from God unfold. Thus new patterns for Christ's mission in a small or global sense. Help us bear each other's burdens, breaking down each wall or fence. Words of comfort, words of vision, words of challenge said with care, bring new power and strength for action. action, make us colleagues free and fair. So God grant us for tomorrow ways to order human life, that surround each person's sorrow with a calm that conquers strife. Make us partners in our living, our compassion to increase, messengers of faith us giving, hope and confidence and peace.
And now, my friends, it is time for us to go from this moment to whatever it is that we have next. Go forth knowing that God has blessed you with abundance of diversity within yourself, and that all around this big, beautiful world that we call home, there's lots of diversity that we can tap into, learn from, and rejoice in. Go forth in the power of that diversity. Go forth in the power of understanding that there's just so much beauty to experience. That there's so many ways that your spirit, that your emotions, that your intellect, and that your body can soar in this life. Go forth knowing that there is power in the joy of all of that multiplicity and in the synergy that we get from sharing our energy, combining our lives one with another. Go forth, my friends, in peace and as peacemakers.